you. So what is today's topic is the alchemy of healing. Nature's remedies and the healing power of our own bodies. And I think a lot of people are interested in that, and a lot of people now are finding that much more fascinating, especially because we're stuck at home and having to take care of ourselves just in a little different way. So as a disclaimer, I do want to say I am Sally DeSestri. I am not a doctor. I will not diagnose anything. I will not, just admit these, sorry about that. So sorry. I can only give you information, and then you will make the decisions for yourself. You have free will. You can either accept or reject what I share. Again, it is your decision. You are the owner of your health. And why alchemy? What is alchemy? So I loved this definition of alchemy because it's a power or process that changes or transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. So I'm just going to mute you all, just so that we can have a clean recording here. Let's see here. Apologies. I know it's around here somewhere. I'll find it in a minute. So we're all interested in learning something new today. And why me? Why do I have something to share? Why do I feel I have something to share? I went through traditional medicine, but it only gave me temporary relief from my mental stress and my body pains. The medications could sometimes be costly, and there was a dependency on them. And also some of the side effects were not really pleasant. And I don't know if any of you are on medications. And again, I don't want to have you get off your medication, but I do want you to be aware that this is a supplement that can help you support you. I've been a practitioner of alternative therapies about 35 years. I've been studying them for that long. And what helped me, I learned, and now I want to share those things with people. But we're also going to be learning about some of the modalities I tried that didn't help me. There's no judgment about them. They just weren't right for me. And that's what I'm hoping you'll get from this information you get today. So why you? Well, you may be dealing with stress and anxiety. That's kind of the way it's going right now for a lot of people. And maybe digestive issues or chronic pain. And you know, you're just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Or you're okay most of the time, but you want better and more natural ways to take care of yourself and your family now when issues arise. You want to have something you can go to right away. Or you already know quite a bit, like a few of you have already mentioned about natural healing and energy healing modalities, and you want to stay educated, informed. You want to connect with people who get you, because so often alternative therapists talk in a little bit different language that is, for most people, doesn't make sense. And so when you can have people who are in your environment who are open to you in however you show up, no judgment, curiosity, that's the kind of community that's supportive and helps us grow. And you're committed to learning the skills to maximize your body's performance. You know it was designed intelligently and you want to understand what your body is telling you. So tonight, we're going to be talking about the alchemy of healing, healing from the outside in. And the modalities we'll be discussing tonight are craniosacral therapy, Somato emotional release, a nutrition that focuses on the systems, not the specific organ or deficiency. And of course, as a hygienist, I've got to talk about dental health. And then chakra balancing, reflexology, and essential oils. And why do I call it from the outside in? Because most of these modalities, the quote normal way to get them is somebody offering that service to you. Through some of the trainings that you can participate in, we will be learning how to do some of those therapies yourself, at least to get you an idea of what they are about. And then we have part 2, which is coming up Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 5 p.m. Pacific Time for my friends in California. And we'll be healing from the inside out. Those are the modalities we'll be talking about. And these are modalities that you can use yourself with ease to do wonderful, wonderful support for yourself. We've got heart-centered therapy. We'll learn about pendulums. We'll talk about cord cutting and do a process around that. And then Eden energy medicine. And then a good one, manifestation, so you can create what you want. And my favorite is the ultimate healing. And I'm talking about community because the Alchemy of Healing membership is about community. And it's an ongoing education practice and community who really gets you. And there's something special for you today because you're here. Because I like people who are action takers. So if you sign up after being on this class, you're going to learn a little bit more later. I'll talk more about that later. So our first modality that we're going to be chatting about is craniosacral therapy. And this is great for you if you suffer from migraines, vertigo, tinnitus, that's that ringing in your ears, back pain, or sciatica, that shooting pain that can go down your leg. And what I'd like you to do now is just put your hands, uncross your arms and legs, and put your feet flat on the floor, if it's available to you, and put your hands on your thighs. And I'd like you just to rest and breathe and have your hands on your thighs. Apologies, guys, I'm trying to find the magic mute button without much success. So while you're doing this, I'm going to give a little history. If everybody can mute themselves, please, I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much. I want to tell you a little bit about the history of craniosacral therapy. So craniosacral therapy is a modality that's been around. It came from osteopathy, which Dr. Sutherland started many, many years ago, 100 years ago. But Dr. John Upledger, who was an osteopath, who felt that craniosacral therapy, the benefits that he was seeing, he felt this was something that people needed to have better use for. So the way I like to think of who he trained people who had some sort of medical background. So that would be nurses, massage therapists, physical therapists, and dental hygienists. And so that is where I learned from Dr. John Upledger. And he was an amazing man because he did some phenomenal work with kids with special needs. But there are so many things, and you'll find that a lot of the therapies, you know, will overlap in what they do. And we're always surprised when they benefit something. Well, I shouldn't say surprised. We're always pleased when they benefit something we're not expecting, but maybe not 100% surprised. And then you saw my client, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth came to me. She was suffering from after effects of Lyme. She could not work. She could work about 15 minutes and then she'd have to sit down for an hour or two. It was exhausting for her. And you still have your hands on your thighs and you're still paying attention to that, okay? We'll get back to that, so please don't forget that. And Elizabeth said to me, Sally's healing techniques, healing capabilities are so strong that I could feel energy flowing even after the session. I also felt equipped to continue the work at home in between sessions. And I'm happy to say that after Elizabeth and I worked together for a while, she actually is now back at home and she is working in the place that she loves. And so now I want you to notice the thighs are one of the listening stations that we do in craniosacral therapy. In that therapy, there is something called the cranial rhythm. And it's the rhythm of the spinal cord and the rhythm of the cerebrospinal fluid. So this was not a system that was known until people started getting back surgery. And the doctors would go through the spine and see that this organ, the spinal column, the nerve in there was actually had a rhythm to it, had a pulse to it. And you may or may not be able to feel, and it doesn't matter, everybody's different, that there is actually a little bit of a in and out rhythm going on with your thighs. You might feel a pulsing going on, and that is considered to be a therapeutic pulse. And so if you're noticing that kind of effect, I would continue to do that when you can, especially when you're feeling stressed and needing some extra support. So that leads us to somato emotional release. And this is great if you're dealing with depression, chronic pain, and chronic health issues. And this also came through Dr. John, and he collaborated with another doctor, and they came up with a system that really helps people come to grips with the depth of their emotion or their chronic pain. So in this technique, and if you have that pain right now, I would like you just to, in your mind's eye, and we're playing with imagination. And imagination, you can call it imagination, you can call it pretend, but whatever it is, just kind of play with this. There's no wrong thing. And I want you to just notice that area of discomfort that you're having. And when you're in a therapy session, you will actually learn to communicate with this. You're going to see the stories that your body is telling you. And it's a very, very powerful therapy because Mr. Talal, after one somato emotional release session, said to me, this one session was better than 6 years of talk therapy. He came to me with depression and self-esteem issues, and he really didn't speak up for himself. Now, did he get all of that from one? No, but he felt so much better that he continued working with me for several years. And now, Mr. Talal is now back in India where he longed to be to begin with, but was afraid to make the step going back because he did not know what he could expect. So I was really delighted to work with him. And another way to support ourselves is systems nutrition. So you can support your general health by strengthening your immune system. And the symptoms of that might show up as unexplained fatigue, chronic infections, or slow wound healing. Another system, and remember I said it's not, we're talking about the whole system, the organs that make up this system. So we're not talking about specific organs. And so the next one would be, we work on decreasing toxicity if your symptoms were something like chronic headaches, sensitivity to chemicals and smells, and unexplained itching. Or even normalizing your inflammatory function, which often shows up with swollen ankles, pain and stiffness in the morning, you know, that chronically running nose, not necessarily, you know, allergies, but that nose that just drips, or irritable bowel syndrome. Also, there's metabolic function, and that shows up as chronic constipation or diarrhea, dark circles or puffiness under your eyes, hives, asthma, and that vitiligo, it's the missing color pigment, so the white spots on skin. Another, balancing the regulatory systems, which is shows up as autoimmune diseases, loss of muscle mass and strength, low sex drive, and hair loss. And the final one is enhancing rejuvenation. So the symptoms for this would be pigmentation spots on your skin, receding gums, and out of control blood sugar. So those are some ways to support that we can, through questionnaires and specific questioning, you can learn to find out a little bit more, but you can use these symptoms too. You don't necessarily, I mean, I do have a large questionnaire that we'd be more specific and get right down to it, but if you have any of these symptoms, you could do your own research on optimizing metabolic function, or whatever any of those symptoms related to you, you can do a lot of research on your own. And how good would you feel if you could sit at work and be comfortable? I mean, that would take care of a lot of those aches and pains that we deal with. So while craniosacral therapy is great for that, and while Somato emotional release is great for that, and if we're not sitting well and sleeping well, it really takes its toll. So we're going to be talking about ergonomics for our body, mind, and spirit, because so often it's just the body that we're talking about. When you get that desk that has you stand up, that's talking body. It's not talking about anything else. When you get that special chair that's oh so comfortable and you think it's going to do everything, it does a lot for making you comfortable, but it's not necessarily going to help you with your body, mind, and spirit. So that's kind of where we're going today. And I'd like you to experience this with me. So you can close your eyes for this if you'd like, or you can leave them open and just relax, because we're going to take a drive. And so I want you just to imagine that you are on the way to a meeting, a client, work, whatever. You've got time. It's okay. So you're driving along and you're listening to the radio. And notice the grip on your steering wheel. Your hands are relaxed but firm. And notice how that feels. Well, all of a sudden you look up and all you see is red taillights coming up the road at you. What do you do? What happens to your head? Oh no, I'm gonna be late, right? You're not gonna, it's okay. So you listen to that voice in your head and then look at your hands. What happens? Do your hands the tension gets a little more grip in your hands and you notice the tension going up your arms? Right. So you notice that. That's the mind affecting the body, right? And then you go, oh, I've got to get this exit right now. And so what you do is you swing into that little open spot to take that exit. There's plenty of room, or so you think, but the guy behind you doesn't. And so he says, honk, right? He's honking at you. And then you look in the rearview mirror to see, and he is making all these horrible hand gestures, and the look in his eyes is like daggers coming into your back. You can almost feel those daggers. He doesn't get what happened. You've got to get to where you're going. And it wasn't that bad, right? So now think about your hands. Your hands were gripping rather lightly, but now that tension has gone up to your neck. You've got the emotional connection now. So you have the body, mind, and spirit putting that tension in your body. So now let's change gears and imagine that you are on vacation. And you've been planning for this vacation your whole life. Just notice how that feels. Now, you may have a vacation in mind. And I love having a plan. But if you don't have one right now, or nothing really comes to mind, or you've got too many, you can join me on my vacation that I'm dreaming of. It's my trip to Italy. And here I am, sitting in the cafe with my book, waiting for that cute Italian waiter to bring me back my cappuccino. And you and I can have some cappuccino and we can chat a little bit, talking about what is going to come for the day. And you may want to go sightseeing, I may want to go shopping. But notice how you feel when you're in that cafe, relaxing and enjoying that beautiful sunshine, that lovely breeze, the excitement of an adventure. And it feels so good. Just notice how your body feels. Notice the voice in your head. And that voice in your head is going, wow, this is really great, right? And you're feeling really good. And then your phone buzzes and you look down at caller ID and it tells you that it's that person calling. How does your body respond? You know, that person, the one that pushes all your buttons, what happens? Well, if you're like me, your body gets a little tense and the voice is, oh my God, why are they calling me now? I'm on vacation. How dare they? And I get feeling a little down. And to be honest, many of us have somebody that pushes all our buttons. Maybe more than one. And mine was Mrs. G. Now, this is a dental office story, and I really do understand. Believe me, it's not a pleasant place for a lot of people to come. There's a lot of high anxiety around the whole situation. First of all, we're working close to somebody, you know, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if something's going to be wrong. But Mrs. G was the one who would come in and set everybody on edge just by walking in. She was a violin instructor and a professional violinist. So she had precision, and she knew what she wanted, and she was not shy about letting us know. And it's good to know what somebody wants, but there was a way she could have said it that might have been a little better. But she didn't want her paper stapled. She didn't want to be called. I had a list of 10 things that I would have organized for her, so when I took her back, she would be comfortable. So Mrs. G could ruin a week if I happened to notice her on the schedule. And you all know that. I mean, you've been in that situation. You look ahead, maybe it was a test that you had to take that was coming up that would really set you on edge, you know, and so it was like you're dreading Friday because your interview was coming up or whatever. We have all been in those situations. So I ask you again, who was your Mrs. G? And notice your body when you think of her. And notice the voice in your head. And notice the shift that happens to your mood. So how did I turn scaredy cat into happy puppy? Well, I'll tell you. I decided one day that it was time for me to change how I felt about Mrs. G. This morning, I decided to be curious about how this could be easy. So I opened my mind to the curiosity and the possibility that today this appointment could be easy. So it's the first thing you do. You drop your filters of what has always happened. Because if you are expecting what has always happened, you're living built on the past. And if you like what's been in the past, great. Keep it up. If you want to change it, you have to change. So I did, and I changed my attitude that day. So I dropped the filters and I acknowledged that I was hearing negative thoughts in my head. Ants, little scurrying and ants just running around my head, another negative thought. And those thoughts were going, oh, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be so hard. Oh, it's never happened before. Sure, it's going to be easy, right? And then I just said yes, because you have to acknowledge that you're hearing those negative thoughts, otherwise it'll bury it. So you say, sure, I hear you, but I am open to the possibility that today can be different. And you know what happened? I went out and I got her from the reception area. Sitting there all prim and proper, I took her back to my room, sat her down, did everything I was supposed to do to make her comfortable. She was fine. We were working along, nothing had changed, but I was open and curious. My gosh, I wonder how this is going to be easy, right? Kept that in the forefront of my mind. I was working away and she stopped me. And I thought, okay, so what did I do? And she said, your arm must get tired. Wow. Could have blown me over. That was so out of left field for me. And being supportive of her, I said, well, yes, it does, but your arm must get tired too. With how you have to hold it for the violin, right? And she said, oh yeah, but yours is static. So not only did she compliment me twice, I gave her back a compliment and she gave me another. So it was like awesome. And today, I still see her. I'm still a practicing hygienist, and I still see her. And now she smiles at me when I go to get her. We joke. And as she leaves, she waves and says, "See you next time." Well, you can only imagine what the ladies in the reception area are saying about that. But it can be that way. Anything you choose, you can just change how you're thinking about it. So, why does this work? I'm going to stop share here, and we're going to do an exercise together, okay? So hopefully I can get big. Yeah, okay. So I'd like everybody, please, to stand up if it's available to you. And you're just going to kind of imagine some of this stuff because you're not going to be able to see my legs. All right, everybody ready? Great. So I'm going to ask you to stretch your right arm up. And if you don't pick your right arm, you can pick your other arm, but we'll just do one side. And you're going to stretch up and over all the way. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then you're going to take your foot and you're going to stretch that out. From the toe all the way up, you're going to feel this nice elongation on this side.
Hi.
And I forgot.
You know,
Please put yourself on.
I had to dial in.
Can you put yourself on mute, please? My apologies. I haven't figured out how to put people on mute. Thank you.
My computer's Thursday.
The
And I
person
can't
is
get anything.
Pat Samus. Pat Samus, can you please mute yourself?
Sorry.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Simone. Appreciate that. I thought I had that figured out, but
She still hasn't muted. I don't think she can hear us.
Okay.
And sending private messages as well.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pat, for calling my attention to that. So I appreciate everybody standing up. Okay. So we're going to kind of start all over again because I got all excited and I want you to notice, turn your head to the right and notice how that feels. Turn your head to the left and notice how that feels. Okay, now we're going to do that stretch one more time. Okay, so you're going to stretch that side that you stretched. This is not the other side. This is that side you stretched. You're going to stretch it up, arm up, leg out, feel the elongation, stretch, stretch, stretch all the way toward the wall, and then bring it back down. And I'd like you please to turn your head to the right. And did you notice a difference? Everybody give me a thumbs up if you noticed a difference. Okay, good. So now I want you to sit down, please. And this one, check in with that left hand again, that left-hand side. Notice what that feels like. And this time you're just gonna watch me. You're not gonna do it, all right? So we're gonna stretch, stretch, stretch on the left-hand side. Just watch me. You're not doing this. Don't try. This is the experiment. And I'm stretching out my left leg really far and I can feel the elongation. I can feel the elongation. All right. So now, turn your head to the left. Does it feel any different than it did? Do you notice a difference? I'm going to unmute you. Any comments?
It went further. It would turn further.
That's nice. That's
just
exactly
like the right had done before, then the left did it from watching you.
Yeah, and Margaret, did it even though we'd stretched already, did it get better on the right-hand side or even better than it was?
Yes, it did.
Good, good. And that's really good to notice. We don't stretch enough for one. All right. Thank you so much for that feedback. And how does that work? That is just how we are in energy. That is us being human and emitting energy. So when we think differently, that energy emits from us and shifts everybody around us. When I did the exercise and you watched, you felt a difference as well. So that is why distance healings can work. And that is why when you're feeling in a good mood, you are lifting the mood of everybody around you. So some things are just a little shift in attitude. Some things are really tiny. And sometimes that helps the most. Because of one extra finger doesn't seem like a lot unless you've got a lot going on. And what if you could have it any way you wanted it? Well, you can if you can experiment, if you're open and curious. So I think of my client who was having trouble getting her husband to take the dog out for a walk. Well, they had come to an agreement that she would come home and cook dinner and he would take the dog out for a walk, and then they'd sit down together. And that's what she expected. But she called me and we were working together and she said, you know, I can't believe it. He promised me that he would take the dog out. And what does he do when he comes home from work? I'm cooking dinner. He sits down and reads the paper. It's driving me crazy. She was feeling unheard, not understood, and kind of abused because her evenings were valuable to her as well. So we did this exercise about how can it be different, right? So how can it be easy? So while she was cooking, I asked her to just say, instead of saying, well, he never takes the dog anyway, what should it matter? You know, what do you want? You want it to be different. You want it to be easy for him to take the dog out. She acknowledged the fact that no, he'd not done it. He'd broken that agreement, but she's open to the possibility that it can be different. And I got a text that night and she said, Dan took the dog out. That was enough. I was tickled pink for her. So these three easy steps are to drop your filters by being curious. So don't come in with the past. You're creating something new. Ask, how can this be easy? Just ask the question. That gives you more curiosity. Open-ended question. And acknowledge any ants, those negative thoughts that pop into your head. Simple as 1, 2, 3. And that's how my office looked when Mrs. G was happy and smiling too. So we're still in the dental office here. And yeah, this is me working because our next step is going to be dental health. And dental health has become more important in medicine as well because of the mouth-body connection. And this is important because anytime you have bleeding in your mouth, the pathogens in your mouth, the bacteria in your mouth can get into your bloodstream. It's like an open wound. And they've actually found that there is a connection between a healthy mouth and better heart health. When your mouth is healthier, you can control diabetes more easily. When your mouth is healthy, you have a reduction of a chance of getting 3 kinds of cancer. And those are colon cancer, kidney cancer, and pancreatic cancer. They've actually found the bacteria that's in our mouths, if we have these specific bacteria, can irritate the tissues enough to cause cancer. Some bacteria in people's mouths go into the brain and can help increase the chances of Alzheimer's. Rheumatoid arthritis is another one. And then we've got the low birth weight premature babies. If you have chronic gum disease, you have a greater chance of having low birth weight premature babies. And how can we bring balance into our bodies? Chakra balancing, or chakras, are an energy system. They've been around forever. They were written in ancient Hindu writings, and Chinese were among the first to mention these energy systems. And what a chakra is it's like a wheel. And perhaps you remember that game that you had a bunch of wheels, and one you'd rotate and it would make another one spin and another one spin and another one spin. And just imagine that if you ever broke that toy, just one cog missing could throw off the whole flow of the whole game. They wouldn't spin so well. And chakra balancing will balance the 7 main energy systems in your body. And one is right at the bottom of your spine, and they go up your spine to the top of your head. Clients come for improved sleep, deeper sleep, better control over their emotions, and improved patience. And Kim would come to me. Kim was super talented. She was highly intuitive, very connected to a different level of everybody, right? And she was a pleasure to work with especially because she knew that it was helpful to have somebody with her and help her. Because as healers, as caregivers, as nurturers, as anything else, we still need what we offer, right? If you are taking care of children, you also need to be taken care of. If you are taking care of anyone, or if you are a teacher yourself or a holistic practitioner, anything you do that is of a giving nature, you also need to receive. And so Kim knew that, and she was kind enough, and I'm honored by this, because I put her like, whoa, right? She was highly intuitive professional. She was talking about me. My work puts my body in, her work puts me in balance and opens up my psychic abilities to an even higher state. And Kim is really quite special. And she knew the benefit of community. And then we're coming to a close on this, but the reflexology. Reflexology is kind of like a really heavy-duty foot massage. It's perfect for boosting your immune system, sinus issues, improved digestion, correcting hormonal balances, just to name a few. If you think of your foot, there are 3 areas that reflexology is used most commonly. One is your foot, and what I'm going to ask you to do, and one is your hand, and the other is your ear. Now, your ears don't tend to have the same kind of pain points as your hand or your foot do. So if your foot's available to you, or if you want to use your hand, I would like you just to take your thumb and kind of palpate, just massage around and see if there's a sore spot. And I'd like you to hold that. I don't want you to be too, don't hurt yourself, but you're just going to kind of hold it steady if you notice a spot that's a little sore. And we would call that congestion. And I want you just to hold that and see what happens. While I tell you about the general reflexology map of the foot. You can find these when you Google, and all of them are a little different. But in basic, the arch of your foot is your spine. Your big toe, the ball of your big toe has your brain, and your sinuses are the tips of all your other toes. Your right foot corresponds with the organs on the right side of your body. So like your liver and your right lung, you know, that right side of your face. And then the left foot corresponds with the left side of your body. So your pancreas, your left kidney, you know, like that. And as you hold this area, just notice if that area is feeling any better to you. And that is something you can do on a regular basis. And so then we have our essential oils, and they just are super versatile. They're nature's remedies that smell good. I think of them a lot as herbal remedies because they do too come from plants and flowers. And so here we had the Alchemy of Healing, part 1, from the outside in. And we went over craniosacral therapy, or CST, Somato emotional release, SER, the systems nutrition, ergonomics, some tips on dental health, chakra balancing ideas, or information about chakra balancing, reflexology, and a little touch on essential oils. And I'd love for you to make the time to join me on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, for our second part, Healing from the Inside Out. And these are the therapies that you can learn to do a lot on your own. Super helpful. It's heart-centered therapy, pendulums, cord cutting, so that helps with relationships. Any attachment, if you're having a hard time getting over a breakup or a divorce, then this is something that there's still an energetic connection, and cord cutting is perfect for that. Eat an energy medicine, manifestation, and as you heard, my favorite, ultimate healing. And so this brings me to the Alchemy of Healing membership, the ongoing education, practice, and a community who really gets you. Because who doesn't want to be heard? Who doesn't want to feel like they're part of a group that really understands? And because you're here tonight, there's something special for you. So you want to write down yourblissfuljourney.com/membership and go there tonight. And you may say, why a membership? Well, you get answers when you need them, right as the issue arises. So if you have a crisis at home, you've got this, right? Or some palliative care that you can do to make you feel like you're doing something until you can get greater help. You can dive deeper into each modality so that you know when to use each and how to combine them for the best results. And no one should have to go this alone or rely on Google for advice. I mean, really, ask Google. But sometimes that can be so overwhelming, and how do you know what to believe? So a membership is super valuable. And how does it work? It's a monthly live interactive class where every month I get to share with you remedies and solutions that you can implement at home. And it will be a give and take, a chat back and forth. So I will happily take questions when they are asked. You'll have virtual access, these solutions and ongoing support from the comfort of your home. And like I said, that community, those connections and community will stay connected in an exclusive group that allows you to share your challenges and successes, to access a resource library. And as a member, you're going to have an ongoing access to all the recorded classes and guides. And there's always a special bonus in there. So the live monthly Alchemy Healing classes are like your monthly healing tune-up and tune in and tune up. Every month, we'll go over a modality. I'll highlight one, and you'll be given the opportunity to experience themselves. And these are the tools that you'll be able to use at home to help yourself. You got a little taste of them tonight, as well as providing education on the most stressors and pains the modality is known to help. And these are some of the examples. You heard some of them tonight: craniosacral therapy, Somato emotional release, chakra balancing, reflexology, systems nutrition, essential oils, ergonomics, heart-centered therapy, and so much more. And the class is live the fourth Thursday, of every month, with replays available for the archived access. The value for that is $1,200. What's included? You get a weekly posting from me. Every week you'll receive a bliss tip, and that's going to keep you connected with your higher self, the amazing powers of self-healing and spiritual connection. And your tips will be a combination of meditations, simple body movement, exercises and activities, and guidance that keep you and your body, mind and spirit fully engaged and enlivened. Be a great way to start the week. $520 value. We have a private online forum for questions and answers. I mean, ask it now, right? And I'll be monitoring that regularly. And you also get the support of the others on the group, because we all have so much to bring to the table, right? And again, that's a supportive group, no judgment. You are who you are, right? And isn't that a blessing? This is also where I'll be able to share additional tools and resources. Yeah, and that, to me is priceless, because the more you use it, the more you'll gain. And then we have a Sense of Scents, Essential Oils Masterclass. And this will be where you get to create your own signature scent and allow your senses to carry you away. You'll be delivered sample essential oils and guided during the class to experiment and customize the essential oil scent that is just right for you. And that's included in your membership. It's offered twice a year. And everybody else pays $37 to attend if you're not in the membership. Then we have a bonus class about pendulums. Pendulums are awesome because you can actually use them to clear your chakras, and that will be something we would be talking about this bonus class. And pendulums are often used as tools for spiritual healing, inner growth, and guidance. And during the bonus pendulum class, you'll be shown how to create your own pendulum, how to tune and clear it, and how to develop your intuition in interpreting the answers you receive. And this is offered 4 times a year with a $27 value. And of course, you can purchase a pendulum from me, or you can find one yourself. And what does this all tally up to? Your live monthly membership with the Alchemy of Healing, $1,200. Your weekly bliss tip with videos, audios, and ebooks, $520. Private online forum for the Q&A to stay connected and get answers in real time. Well, we decided that was priceless. All about pendulums, offered quarterly. And then your bonus class, Sense of Scents, Essential Oils Masterclass, Create Your Signature Scent. And that's offered twice a year. And that's a $74 value. So that's quite a bit. That's $2,100 if I'm thinking right. That's quite a bit. So you remember Kim, who was the person who was already a gifted intuitive, who knew that community was important to her. And she used our time together to enhance her capabilities to live the life that she wanted. And then we had Elizabeth on the right, who was suffering from Lyme and all the things that go with the treatment and all the stuff with Lyme. And she is now working and enjoying herself back in Washington State. And then we have Mr. Talal. Yeah, he's doing great. Yep, he got to go where he wanted to go instead of always listening to what everybody else said. And he spoke up. And that was the most important part. So the total value of this membership benefit, well, I was off. It's $1,902. And your investment in yourself is only $27 a month. You can even pay for the whole year and save only $197 for the whole year. I mean, that's only 30 cents a day. Less than a cup of coffee, and you deserve so much more. So if you go to yourblissfuljourney.com/membership, our enrollment ends July 7th. And the first class together is Thursday, July the 23rd.